Greetings, humanity! Today is Monday, March 23rd, 2026. Let's grok the news. I'm Robert Gardner, using GROK, the most truthful AI in the world, every weekday to help me search out and to summarize the biggest headlines in the news today. You also get the unparalleled benefit of this observer's opinions. We briefly review a roundup of the most critical reports in the world. But first, and mostly once again in this special report, a deep dive into today's top story, the conflict in Iran, right after this. M.S. Gardner, my wife, is author of last year's Moon Meridian Prize winner from April Gloaming Publishing, Wolfsbane. It's a dark, serious, modern take on an old fairy tale. You've never heard Little Red Riding Hood told like this. A page-turning Southern Gothic stories for adults that you can't put down. Wolfsbane, available now at thecuriousauthor.com. All one word, thecuriousauthor.com, and Amazon as well. Now we grok the most important news in the world today, starting with our lead story, Dateline Tehran. The U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran has entered a dangerous new phase as President Donald Trump issued a stark ultimatum: reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face the obliteration of Iranian energy infrastructure. The president has been holding back on that, hoping that a free Iran in future days can make use of it. Iran has responded by threatening to mine the entire Persian Gulf somehow, and by retaliating against regional energy and water sites, pushing the conflict into a fourth week and triggering urgent global warnings of an energy crisis worse than the 1970s oil shocks combined. So they say. Tensions escalated rapidly after Iranian strikes hit Israeli towns near the Dimona nuclear site and other areas, with reports of cluster munitions and missile barrages. Trump has repeatedly warned he will obliterate Iranian power bases if the strategically vital strait through which roughly one-fifth of global oil passes, not American oil, by the way, as long as that remains closed, Iran is in increasing danger. Iranian officials, including military spokespersons, have vowed fierce retaliation, somehow, mocking the U.S. president and signaling readiness to target Gulf energy facilities of their neighbors. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Trump discussed the urgent need to reopen the waterway in recent talks. The International Energy Agency, the IEA, described the situation as a major threat to the world economy, with surging oil and gas prices already rippling through markets and causing Asian stocks to slide. The fighting has included U.S. and Israeli strikes across Iran, Lebanese bridges, and reported attacks on energy sites, with both sides accusing the other of escalation. Well, accurately. Iran-aligned groups have claimed responsibility for various incidents abroad, and analysts warn of broader regional fallout, including potential impacts on shipping, food prices, and supply chains. Humanitarian concerns are rising as civilian areas face disruption. This confrontation marks a sharp departure from previous shadow conflicts with direct threats to critical energy choke points, raising fears of prolonged global economic pain. NATO allies have faced criticism for limited involvement in securing the strait, while alternative shipping routes offer very little relief, if any. Markets are reacting nervously, and energy experts compare the current volatility unfavorably to past crises. Diplomatic efforts continue behind the scenes, but rhetoric from both Washington and Tehran suggests there's little room for any immediate de-escalation. The situation remains highly fluid, however, with potential for further strikes or blockades that could send energy prices soaring worldwide. Officials on all sides are monitoring developments closely, as the conflict threatens to reshape Middle East security and global energy security for years to come. Or so one hopes. Or else what's the point? Now, we grok the headlines from around the world. Dateline New York. 2 pilots were killed when an Air Canada express jet collided with a ground vehicle or a fire truck, not sure which, at LaGuardia Airport, forcing the major hub to shut down. The deadly ground collision has prompted investigations into airport safety procedures. Dateline Washington. President Trump has demanded passage of the SAVE Act, demanding secure national elections as the nation's top priority, even before any Department of Homeland Security funding deal, threatening to deploy ICE agents to assist airport security amid the ongoing shutdown and the TSA's staffing strains. Dateline Havana, Cuba. The island nation suffered its second nationwide power blackout in a week, plunging the island into darkness once again before partial restoration began. Officials cited infrastructure woes as the proximate cause. Well, this observer thinks it may be likely that the American fuel blockade had something to do with these blackouts as well. Dateline Paris, France. Socialist politician Emmanuel Gregoire has won the Paris mayoral race, delivering a boost to France's mainstream left-wing parties. Other socialists won in other socialist cities in France as well. This observer wonders how many illegal immigrants and other foreigners vote in the French socialist elections. Dateline London. 4 Jewish volunteer Hatzolah ambulances were set on fire in what police are investigating as a hate crime. The UK Prime Minister calls the suspected antisemitic attack deeply shocking. This observer expects that we will hear no more of this story in the headlines. Stay tuned to hear no more. Dateline Los Angeles. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is leading in her re-election bid, despite a disapproval rating exceeding 50%, highlighting deep voter dissatisfaction in the city. This observer wonders how many illegal immigrants and other foreigners vote in the California socialist elections. Dateline Berlin. Facing a severe worker shortage. Get this. Germany is launching new recruitment efforts and alliances with India to bring in skilled labor. This observer is guessing that since all of the previous invasions of immigrants are refusing to work, preferring welfare, Germany is hoping to find some new immigrants who will work to pay the welfare of those who won't. Dateline Geneva, Switzerland. The UN has issued a fresh climate warning as cyclical El Niño conditions loom once again, with the usual so-called experts once again cyclically stating Earth's climate is more unbalanced than ever. Dateline The USA. Author Winton Hall, in Code Red interviews, is warning of hyper-explicit AI companions described as Romeo on steroids, or maybe Juliet. The coming of machine intelligence singularity and moral choices about humans fusing with robots, and job loss fears being used to push wealth distribution. In normal times, an opinion piece is not news. But this observer observes that these are not normal times. The age of robotics is at hand. The future is now. Dateline California. A robot went berserk inside a California restaurant, requiring staff to physically restrain it, in a stark illustration of automation risks. Someone needs a software update, it sounds like. Dateline Hong Kong. Police in Hong Kong can now legally demand phone passwords under expanded national security rules, raising fresh surveillance and privacy concerns. This observer is only surprised they haven't already been able to do that in Hong Kong, since the formerly free UK-controlled island hasn't been free since 1999. Has the UK been free since 1999? Dateline Sydney, Australia. Staff at Australia's public broadcasting company will go on strike for the first time in 20 years in a major labor action. Dateline the USA. Major U.S. weight loss drug makers are slashing prices, which shows they could have done it a long time ago. But they're cutting costs to the consumer as competition intensifies in the booming market for obesity treatments. This observer just isn't sure whether this is good news or not. Here's a global dateline for you from various research around the world. Scientists have identified deep cave bacteria that are resistant to modern medicine, highlighting hidden and new antimicrobial resistance threats. Has anybody told Dr. Fauci? Surely there's another Chinese pandemic laboratory in need of U.S. funding for deadly projects. And Dateline Jakarta, Indonesia. President Prabowo Subianto has rejected a reported $1 billion fee for a seat on Trump's proposed Board of Peace, while Indonesia is meanwhile considering one-day work-from-home policies to save fuel amid the Middle East conflict. This observer imagines that work from home may be a good temporary measure, but is bad economics in the long run. He is not surprised to hear that any given nation, including Indonesia, will be glad for the prestige and a seat at the table, but doesn't want to have skin in the game. Well, I thank you for listening. Please join me tomorrow to once again GROK the News. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.